Welcome to the Life Support Podcast with your hosts, Michele VanDusen and June Colson. A couple of clean comedians here to support each other and others through comedy's wacky and winding roads. They'll talk about highs and lows and some traumatizing shows. So get ready, get set, let's go!
I'm so glad we figured out that we can see our silly faces. Welcome to the Laugh Support Podcast. I am June Colson. Laugh Support is brought to you by the Hot Breath Comedy Network. I'm here with my amazing friend, Michele, with one L, VanDusen. Michele, we're so mature. We're so mature. As if we've never seen ourselves on camera before. You know, like little babies, when you put a mirror in front of them or you put a camera on them and they're like, oh, look at me, look at me.
How about when they first notice their hands?
Oh, yes, yes. That's super exciting. Well, speaking of little babies, if we have any background noise, I've got two little babies in my backyard. It's just random. I pick up babies. I put them in my yard. Sometimes people come back and pick them up. No, I've got
June,
twin nephews. Yes, the kid collector. That would be a great wrestler name.
Wait,
June,
do you have
the
the twins
kid
there?
collector. Do what?
Are the twins at your house right now?
They're at my house. They're in the.
Oh.
My sister is here, and my nephew's wife and a couple cousins are out there with the babies, and they're just swimming and playing and splashing and screaming and digging through the rocks, and it's super exciting stuff happening out there. So if we have any background noise, then that's probably what's happening.
Well,
so
you know, you have a lot of crawling that goes around in your house all the time.
I do have some crawling.
Yeah, so
Hopefully my husband won't have to crawl in here this episode to try it. Yeah, so our last episode, I was like, just make sure the dogs don't bark and they stay out of the office. And then Reggie, my big dog, he's a boxer retriever mix, and he likes to come in and sit on my feet, which is fine. He's quiet. He just sits there. But we get UPS packages like every single day for my husband's work, and they ring the bell and then he barks. And so that's why I have the most amazing husband in the world, because he was willing to get on his hands and knees and crawl with a plate of cinnamon rolls to try to get the dog out. The dog wasn't going, but I was like, ooh, cinnamon rolls? Oh, you guys about lost
going
me.
out of the screen. I'm like, Jim, come back.
Yes, you just about lost me. But hey, I'm super excited for our guest today, Michele VanDusen. Tell us who's going to be on the podcast with us today.
Okay, so today we have Byron Trimble, and so he's a comedian out of Detroit, Michigan. What? Detroit.
Okay.
He has a hilarious blend of like music and comedy in his live shows, and he also got this huge generation of people are following his online videos and things like that. And so because he has this huge following, that gave him the opportunity to open up for like John Crist, Kathleen Madigan.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, and Byron's he's traveled around the world. He does comedy at some of the craziest venues, like, you could just ever imagine. Me, I'm thinking, I wonder if he's done a porta-john yet. I don't know. He might have. We could ask him.
It's a good question.
So he's been featured on ABC, NBC, The Huckabee Show, the Dan and Patrick show, and he has a Dry Bar comedy special.
Awesome.
Yep, but here's the best one. He also has a comedy special on Amazon Prime. We're going to talk about that a little bit. So let's welcome to the Laugh Support Podcast, Byron Trimble.
All right.
Okay, I was texting. I was making sure she was saying it exactly as I was texting her. So
yes.
You did it right. You did it right.
She did it, and you got the last name right. So that's super exciting.
That's right. That's right. Hi, ladies. It's great to be here.
Hello, Byron. Hello,
June,
Byron.
you are tall. I saw that intro. You said you were tall, but by golly, you are tall.
I hate that picture. Because I'm wearing a green jacket, so it just goes right into the Jolly Green Giant. And as a girl, when you're like taller than everyone else, it's very like, Amazon woman. And I'm always doing like there'll always be like a tiny lady that's before me whenever, I do comedy. And so they're like, look at this petite, normal sized woman. And then they're like, here comes June. Blah, 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 blah. So
June.
I have nightmares.
Mm-hmm.
Michelle's on a stool in that picture too. That's what's real crazy.
Oh my gosh. Well, I think I said Earl Music, he did our cartoon there in the corner. And I feel like he did so good on facial features and everything, but I still feel like the height. I still feel like it's not quite there. Yeah. But I think if he did it in that frame, you would just be seeing my teeth and down if you actually went with the height.
Yeah. Look at that. Hey, see, that's good. That's good.
He's so talented.
Earl's the man. I want to meet that guy. Earl, I want to meet you, Earl. My name's Byron. I'm coming to your house. That dude's talented. He draws all sorts of awesome stuff.
And
he seems really nice too.
He's the nicest guy. You will love him. You will. I love Earl. Earl's the best.
Yeah, we interviewed him. That one should be coming out soon. The interview with Earl Music, and wow, Byron, just you'll have to check it out when you're a cartoonist and your mentor was Charles M. Schultz, the creator.
No big deal. No big deal.
What did he say?
What? Big deal.
Peanuts. Are you serious?
Yeah.
Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing.
Yeah, I just call up Walt Disney sometimes for advice, and it's no big deal.
Just me and
buddies created the Minions, whatever. Just little things.
Yeah, the Minions. Like he knows the Minions. What?
That's awesome. No, I'll definitely check that out. I love unique angles people take like that, with the cartoonist and all that. Sweet. Anyways, I totally hijacked things. Like, come on. For a second, I just hijacked the whole show talking about June's 6'8" frame.
Yeah.
Michele,
I'm not insecure about that, Byron. Thanks so much for bringing up.
I'm a little guy. So listen, I got a whole bit about tall women and how hugging them's a problem. Listen, I'm not. Yeah. Anyway.
Yeah. Byron's like, June, Michele, is there anything you're insecure about? I'd love to point that out real quick before we get started.
I know I'm called the guest here, but let's talk about you and your problem. Well, I've watched a few counseling videos on YouTube, so I'm qualified to help you through all your issues. Anyways, sorry. Okay, I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to take a step back.
Your bald spot, when that starts happening, you just ask her, like, is anything happening yet? Anything? Write the date down, would you?
Oh, wow. Michele is brutal.
Michele coming in hot. I'm like, wait, I got a bald spot? I don't think I got it yet. I'm scared to turn around, though. I might. I don't know.
Well, listen, we got you here on Laugh Support. And the reason why we named the podcast Laugh Support is because when I first started doing comedy, Michele was one of the first people who just kind of invested in me and did, said things like, don't do that. And,
have rules.
Yes, was there for me as I got into comedy. And so we started this podcast to kind of reach out to other comedians and find out, like, who was your laugh support? We think back to the beginning when you first started doing comedy. Can you think of someone, it could be family, friends, comedian, pastor, whatever, that was there for you as you started your journey into comedy, Byron?
Well, it's funny you mentioned Michele. Michele was one of mine for sure. So before I moved to Detroit, I grew up in Detroit, but for a while there, I worked at a church in Oklahoma, and that's kind of how I got into comedy. I just was working at a church, and churches have all these events, and they want all the events to be fun, except a lot of people don't know how to have fun in the church, and so. So I started just doing icebreakers and stuff. So the comedy thing kind of just found me. I didn't like go out one day and be like, hey, I want to try stand-up comedy. It just kind of happened. And so Nazareth, the comedian Nazareth out of California, he was the first. Like, I was aware of Tim Hawkins, and I was aware of like John Crist and like Shonda and the big people, whatever. And Nazareth's he's gonna make fun of me maybe for saying, but like some of those people, when you're like, man, if I message them, they might not respond right away. It's like they're in like a ring where like, they might not be taking, unsolicited messages from people to ask advice. But I saw this Nazareth guy in California who had a big following too, but I had never like heard of him, but he was successful. And so like he was kind of in that middle ground. And so I reached out to him on Twitter and was like, hey man, I just got some like questions because I'm like kind of got my feet in this pool for the first time. And within like 5 minutes, he messaged me back on Twitter, not just with like, hey man, yeah, so glad, you know, one of those like generic, like, yeah, just keep at it and God will use you.
Right.
It was, he gave me his cell phone and he said, I'm at an airport right now. Call me. So like in 5 minutes, that's how quick it happened. And so he talked to me for like 40 minutes while he was waiting for his plane and just let me ask him all the dumb questions we all ask. Like, you know, like, how long will it take me to sell out a 3,000 person church?
Right. That like a week, 2 weeks. Are we looking at what?
Yeah. How do you get 1 million YouTube subscribers? You know, and so all those different questions, and then he was the one that told me about the Christian Comedy Association, which I didn't even know that was a thing. There truly is an association for everything. And then I went to the retreat. Not the retreat. That's what it's called now. The conference in Tennessee at that time. And that was just wild. That was the first time like you met the others, you know, other people that like are programmed like you. And so I met Michele was the first person. This is a long answer. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. Keep rocking, man. Keep rocking.
Michele was the first person I saw when I walked in there. And so she was working the counter and everything. I being from Oklahoma at that time, her being from Oklahoma, it just had a connection. And then she just was nice. You know how Michele does. She grabbed, you know, me and her, same level height. And so like she grabs me by the arm, starts showing me. Yep. She starts introducing me to people. She introduces me to Mike Goodwin, who's on America's Got Talent last night. She introduces me to Rick Roberts. She introduces me to, we didn't make our way to June. June was too big time. June's in that higher ring of people I didn't want to like bother, you know, reach out.
That's what it is.
And so she starts introducing me to people, and then, you know, we come back to Oklahoma and we stay in touch. And so, so Michele is one of them. Nazareth was like my first contact of like another Christian comedian out there. And then from there, you just kind of meet different people, learn from them. Joey Aiello now is a good friend. Lee Harden's a good friend. And so yeah, it's been cool. You find people kind of like you. Listen, there's some weirdos out there too.
Yes.
That you're not okay. Let's just be real. Like, I've seen some people at the conference that I was like, me and him are not compatible. We're not going to be friends. It's okay. It's okay. But you find the people kind of like you. You connect with them, and you kind of have a little support system, which is cool, and you need it.
Nice.
What was really neat is when we started meeting each other more here in Oklahoma, Byron had some videos that he was doing. So he was doing this music video. In fact, I'm wearing this shirt, the Voluntold shirt. You can't see it. My name's covered it. And he's like, yeah, so I got this idea. Could you? I'm like, yeah, I'll be there. So he's a singer. Right? You've been singing for a long time, your whole life, pretty much. We want to hear the backstory on your vocals. He knows I can't sing. And he's like, yeah, you're just going to not talk and just make expressions and I'll sing through this whole thing. I'm like, okay, well, if that's the case, I will need you to be hit by a truck and then hit by a toy truck. So I gave him some ideas. But that was a fun video. So thank you for that.
Oh man, listen, here's a funny story about Michele. So obviously, you know, she's just so like sweet, like almost like just like over the top, like nice to where you're like, man, you are just super, like you are an intense friend and it's awesome.
Too much.
Yes.
Back off.
Yeah, no, not too much, but like, you know, like she's like a Red Bull friend, you know, like just there. And so I asked her to be in this video and like, and I'm not making fun of her at all. In fact, you need friends like this in your life because they make life fun. They do. I asked her to be in this video. I just pitched the idea. She did the exact thing she said. She agreed to do it before I even finished the name of the video. I just said, hey, can you help me with the video? I'm in. What are we doing?
Right.
And by the end of like the first day, I told her this thing. She had gone to Hobby Lobby, made a shirt, had it and printed with all these different ideas. She was blowing up my phone with different ideas. What if we did this? What if we did this? What if we did this? And by the time it was time to shoot the thing, you know,
it was fantastic. You're welcome.
She took a D level idea to a solid B plus. And so
there you go.
Nice. I was gonna go C minus, but you took it a B plus.
No. But in all sincerity, that was a fun time, and she nailed it. That video still, I'll get messages from churches and stuff wanting to use it for like a volunteer appreciation night and stuff, and people I don't even know, and they'll play it for their churches, and it's fun to see how these things get legs. And so Michele, it was all Michele. She carried the whole thing.
That's awesome.
Well, here's the best. You know, you've got your special on Amazon Prime, so I can officially say that I'm on Amazon Prime because you can hear my voice.
She is.
I asked him a question backstage before his show, and they used it.
She is. She was on that show. She was on that show with me. She was on that show.
That's awesome.
No, that's awesome. So now, Michele's a great friend, and then now, you know, I'm excited to add June into my my circle of.
Yeah, I think
I had one friend. Now I have two.
This is awesome. Yeah. This is awesome.
You're welcome. I think we should do a comedy tour now. You know.
Okay.
There you go.
The circle of friends.
Oh yeah, that'd be nicer to say.
I feel like there'll be something that references my height in the title of the tour. So
no way, June, listen to me. You are so much more than the tall girl. You are special.
I'm also the girl with the big foot. So that's always good too. I'm not just a tall girl. You need a good solid base when you're 400 foot tall. You know what I'm saying? Well, no. So when you went to the CCA, do you remember what year that was? When you when you went, Michele?
Do you know? It was. I don't know. It was
not last year.
No, I hadn't been in a while. So it was about 2000, probably 17, maybe.
Okay, yeah. So
16?
that was actually the first year that I went. I went 2017, but I didn't talk to anybody. I was basically hiding in a corner because, you know, that was when God was like, "Hey, I'm going to have you do this comedy thing." And I said, "No, I'm not. No, I'm not doing that." And I'm not. And I went to Nashville and I went to that same conference, and yeah, Michele was somebody that I didn't necessarily meet that year, but I saw her. And I saw her just bouncing around, talking to everyone. And so, except for me, because if someone spoke to me, I was just like, don't look. I don't know what I'm doing here. I don't know why I'm here. I'm probably never coming back. And then I went, you know, every year
and
after
then
that.
Later that
June,
summer,
I'm with you. I was with you. I was shook a little bit that first time because I went there thinking I was pretty funny because I get pretty good laughs at my church. And like I said, not everyone there is going to make it in the game. Yes. But you can sit and identify like the real people when they get up on stage, and their laughs are a whole different level than what I was getting, and their jokes are way funnier and quicker and precise. And I remember like I came in there I was feeling myself a little bit, and then they start like looking around trying to get people who want to go on stage, and I'm like, I'm good.
Yes, yeah.
I'm good. I'll stay over here.
Oh yeah. I remember going in there, and the first song that they sung was "Holy Spirit, You Are Welcome Here." So they started with some worship music. And I've never been like a super emotional person, but I know no one. I'm sitting there like trying to not completely freak out that I'm in this environment, and they play an emotional song and I'm just going so that might be why no one spoke to me for a little bit.
For the listeners, that's June's cry. It sounds an awful lot like a really bad laugh, but that was her crying.
Yes. Check in the description and you can download it as your ringtone. We'll have that available for you. June's calling. All right, quiet.
That's it. It's beautiful. Also, I don't sing if you need it.
Okay, that's all right. Michele doesn't either. I know how to cast my crew. Okay, I put them in the background. Lip sync.
Now, Byron, you also have like a media company, right? Short Short
Mhm.
Boy Media. So you could actually
Thank God
create.
for that. That's
You
helped old through old Corona.
Oh
you could
yeah, yeah.
create
Cool.
a ringtone for us now,
There you
right?
go. There you
And you can
go.
make money on it.
Absolutely.
So
Well,
Absolutely.
boom.
tell us about Short Boy Media. What do you do?
Okay. Well, I'm the short boy, and so that's kind of where it comes from. And so I help it's a small marketing agency, so it helps helps people with their branding and their social and graphics and stuff. And so it came in really handy in the pandemic when a lot of churches suddenly became aware that there's an internet. And so you help them with like live stream, either I would either give them advice or I'd help them like install it and get all that going, because so many people had to pivot last year. So it's cool, it's fun for me, it's rewarding because like I can help people outside of like just the church that I'm at physically, you know what I'm saying? You can help people kind of get a fishing pole instead of a fish to do and reach their people better. So anyways, so that's Short Boy Media. It's a fun little thing.
Yeah. So as you began in comedy, do you recall any of your life support, any of the people that you were surrounded with that gave you some solid advice that maybe you would pass on to someone else, or you actually still, use today?
Wow. Yeah, a lot. Okay, so let me figure out how I'm going to phrase this without sounding like a jerk.
Well, speak like a woman. Just do it in a lady's voice. Just do it in a high pitched lady's voice. And sorry.
You can do it in a song.
I'm not saying that overall, like there's not a lot of funny Christian comedians. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying I tried to learn from some of the secular people who have like are wildly acknowledged as like super good at their craft.
Right.
And so like if I can kind of learn from that, like that's one of the things, like, so John Christ is one of them. Just I've done some shows with him, and just some of the advice he would give me was just different than other people. It was like, just like you just need to be on stage all the time, and you just have to be unmistakably funny. Like you just, all these different things, just like a lot of times in the Christian space, you get a little bit of fluff, you get a little bit of like, and it's good. Like God does want to use it, and there is a spiritual element to what we do, but sometimes we like mask the spiritual side of things, and that kind of overtakes kind of some of just the blunt truth that needs to happen of like, you just gotta get funnier. Like just it's just what it just gotta be. You just gotta be funnier. And like God can use you more if you just work harder and get funnier. And so that was some of the things like John said. I read a book on probably the biggest, Anita Renfro was another one. I did a show with her. And a lot of it was just, I was too dumb to know. I was too young and dumb to know anything. So like she was coming into town where I lived, and she went down the street, like a mile from my house. I didn't know Anita. I just looked her up. I'm like, wow, she's very successful. She's got tons of followers. So I messaged her. At that time, I didn't know that literally everybody does this to all these comics. And if there's a way you want to get on their bad side, message them when they're in town and say, hey, can I open for you? But I didn't know. So that's what I did. And I messaged Anita, and Anita actually watched my tape and let me do it. And she told me when I came in, she's like, this is like a 1 in a million thing, because this literally happened. I get 15 of these emails every town I stop at. And I always say no. But something in me just told me to say yeah to you. And so I came and I did a show, and like her life advice was just so awesome about like the family. Her husband, John, was there, and just like, cause that's important to me, cause I have a wife and kids. And like, I don't want this to overtake me as a person. And like, I don't want to be a crazy successful comedian and then have no relationship with my kids one day and they hate my ministry because I put it first, So all those things, like just amazing advice from that. And then like Kevin Hart, of all people, I read his book, and his biography, and he said an amazing thing in his, of the things that you think will be your big break won't always be your big break. And the things that you think will ruin you won't ruin you. It's a process. You'll have like 5 or 6 or 7 times that you think this is it. This is what's going to break me. And it's not. And you'll have some other things that you go, oh man, I'm never going to recover from this. Like that was a bomb. And it won't. You're going to have a lot of highs. You're going to have some lows. You just got to keep working at your craft and being funnier. And in the end, you'll be all right.
Yeah.
Another long-winded answer, but that's
good. No, it's good. You're dropping some knowledge.
Funny first.
And I think I'm glad that you did point that out, especially if people are, comedians are listening that are kind of new to this, that you're not the only person that's sending that tape, and you're sending, trying to get on the show with the celebrity comedian. And it's not necessarily that your tape wasn't good that you were sending. It's just not a path that some of the, headliners choose to go down. And then sometimes it truly is, it's just the grace of God that you're able to do that. So like, we are sensitive people about our stuff. So you send it, to the Michael Jr. or Shonda or, Anita, and then you hear nothing back, or you get a no, and it could easily be like, oh, they hated my tape. Well, no, you're just one of 25
they did.
People.
They did.
Well,
no, they did. They hated it.
Yeah,
they really did.
Yeah, and they hate you. Yes.
Truth, your tape was probably horrible because no, I'm serious. Because people that usually are starting out in comedy, it takes a while to get your rhythm, to get your voice, to really hit the right, tones and things like that. And so if you're like, just, I got to get out there, I got to do, and you send your tape as a newbie to someone that's established and has been around for a while, it's probably really bad. It really is. So off for a minute, just keep doing your open mics, keep, get funny first, which what you said, Byron, you have to craft. And I think that's one of the mistakes that Christian comedians make, because they know God called them into it, and they have an element of church words or Jesus stories. Then they think, well, everybody's going to love this. No, if it's not funny, it's not funny.
Yeah,
you got to get funny. So
right.
June,
get funny.
The tape is most likely really bad. And then you get the occasional, like Byron's, who it was a miracle, that it was decent and he got on.
Yeah. Well, but
no, it was good, man. It was good.
Well, and because of my media experience, I can make myself look better than I, am maybe at an earlier stage. But kind of part of that Kevin Hart thing, that it's almost like God will reveal it to you, like kind of a nugget of wisdom. And then the more you live and the more life you go through, the more that nugget gets even wiser. Like you learn new layers of that. And so like when Kevin Hart says the thing that you think is going to break you isn't always going to break you. And the moment you think you just blew it, like I'm done, it's not gonna, that won't either. Like it, and Kevin Hart is not a Christian man, I don't believe. But when you get, he might be, I don't know. But when only God can judge. But when you start reading the Bible, another way you can like interpret that is, look, no man or no woman holds your future, right? Like you. Anita Renfro, as amazing as she is, she doesn't have my future for me, and John Crist, as successful as he doesn't either. And because the farther you go, the farther you realize, okay, even if you get 5 steps farther down the road, you got different problems 5 steps from now than you get. So like, for example, when I opened for Anita, like I get that 1 in a million thing where she takes my tape. Sure. Come on, watch it. And you go to the show and you think, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to crush it for 15 minutes. Then she's going to throw me on her tour bus and I'm going to just go to all 50 dates that she has after this. And then me and her are just going to be together. And then I'm going to meet all her friends. And then I'm going to go on tour with them. And then your head just goes in all these different places. And then when she doesn't call you to go on tour with her, you think you screwed up. And so it's a problem that the person emailing that doesn't get the response back that they wanted, they don't have this problem. But because God like was faithful in one step, then because we're humans, we go to the next step, and then it's like, okay, but I thought this was it. I thought this was it. I thought I made it. And it's like, no, it's a process. It's a process. God's got his own story for you. Trust it. And in the meantime, just get good at what you do. and it all worked out.
I've made it about 100 times so far. So, woo!
Oh, yeah. You know, I had a friend. I have a comedy friend, been doing it for a long time, and this dates his journey. But he was trying out to be a VJ on VH1, right?
Oh, I thought you were going to say vegan. I'm like,
no,
oh,
like
man,
a VJ on
tough.
VH1, and he had people vying for him. He had, I mean, basically the job was his. It was his. Like, I believe he said Rosie O'Donnell had set it up for him back then, and she was just everything to everybody, right? Dude, all he had to do was show up, just show up to this interview. And he said he got it so twisted in his head, where he was like, you know, because he was just a broke comedian at the time, and you know, wife issues and all of these things going on, and he thought this is going to be what saves my marriage, just saves my life, it saves our income, it saves everything. He got to the interview and became sick, just violently sick, and ended up having to leave because he put everything on that one moment. And he just lost. He wasn't even able to do the interview. He would have been given this job. And, you know, but even with that, he was saying, you know, within the next year, they stopped with the VJs, and that's when kind of MTV and VH1 changed over to reality TV. And it wasn't even that big of a loss, but at the moment, you know, because he put it all on there, he was riding it all on that moment. And we can self-sabotage.
We do. We do.
Well, we've got just about a minute left. As far as laugh support goes, Byron, so you've been doing it for a little while now. Have you seen the opportunity for you? So we said, you know, Nazareth was there for you. You've had moments with John Christ and Anita. Now, have you been given the opportunity to be laugh support to someone and kind of step in and help lift them up as they started their journey?
Yeah, I try to be. It's goofy for me because in so many ways I still feel like I'm at the bottom of the totem pole still, you know? And so like I'm still there. Maybe that's a good way of staying humble and stuff, but in my mind I'm like still there. Like I'm still trying to bother the people who are doing it and let me open for them or something. And so but to someone else, you know, who's just starting off, they probably do see me as a little bit higher down the ramp. And so there's been a few people, it's been an adjustment for me to like get myself into, okay, look, people did that for you. And you can help other people with just whatever you've learned. And that's what God's called us to do in this whole thing. Just like June and I walking around at that CCA a few years ago when we were just kind of looking for somebody to connect with, like, okay, there might be somebody that God has me get into that gap for them and encourage them. And so there's a few different comedians around here locally. Different ones will reach out to me on social or Instagram and stuff. And you just do the best to encourage them with what you know, which I always give the disclaimer is I don't feel like it's much, but whatever I do know, I'll try to pass it on.
Yeah. Well, I'll say that, Byron, you've helped me media wise before. You helped me put a clip together and things like that. So to me, that was a huge support. I paid you, but it was a huge support. You
paid me the first payment. I'm waiting for the second. I'm just kidding. No. I'm embarrassed now. I even charged you. We're friends, Michele.
Yeah, well, you know, $1,000. I'll just come anywhere. It's fine. You know, it was a 30-second clip. But,
though?
It was good. It was good.
That's such a peeve of mine, though. I'm glad that you said that because that really is a pet peeve of mine. Is like in my heart, you should be paying your friends. You should be paying your friends as much or more. You know,
no, not more. Just the going rate.
I'm just saying,
just fair.
Yeah, because we can get these situations where you have the skill set. You know, I have friends that are carpenters, and I don't plan on just having them come build my house. You know what I mean? Like this is a skill, and we need to be respectful to each other.
Yes.
And so I don't think you should, you know, right when God calls you to do something out of goodness of your heart, that's fine. But I don't think that you should ever feel obligated to just give things away. You know, just give it away because God, you know, God put this in you for a reason. And it truly is. It's a pet peeve of mine when people are like, well, I'll ask my friend. He might do it for free. Well, you know what? If it's your friend, you should probably compensate them.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah. Well,
the flip side.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say the flip side of that is if you are going into a situation and you know that you're going to be paying this person for their services, and then on their side they say, "Oh no, you know what? I'm not going to charge you." Well, then don't insist on giving them money. Just
You're
make
right.
sure
I
that you send them a
understand that.
Christmas card. You know.
Yeah.
Yes,
Right.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Well, and and I know you said we're done basically. I'll go fast. On that similar token though, and this is something that I have found with going into in the Christian space and in the secular space, because I like to do it in both, because I just feel like it keeps you honest and sharp, and something needs to be able to work on both levels for it to be, real funny and stuff. So a great way that you can just be a shining example of Christ, as well as just a life-giving person, is to legit become a Nicodemus, an encourager. And that's one of the things I love about Michele.
Yes.
Like just encourage, like be happy for people. And like that is so rare in the entertainment business, because it is the most insecure group of people on the planet. And they like Mike Goodwin's on America's Got Talent last night. Just send him a few congratulatory texts without thinking, hey, what's the producer of America's Got Talent's name again? And do you have his email? That's how people roll out here. It's like it's always self-serving in some sort of way. And that's so not how Jesus was. That's the thing Anita has taught me. She even gave me a book about it, of really the social networking currency of the Bible is encouragement and serving and loving people and encouraging them. And so that's one of the things I appreciate about Michele, my new friend June. And that's one of the things I think I just try to be, is like, be just like a legit follower of Christ and cheer for people without anything maybe coming back to you. Just cheer for people and see what happens to your, what kind of friends come into your life,
Wait, you left one more thing out of the text I just sent you about that. You're supposed to also put in, hey, June, do you want to make sure you want to go on a tour?
Yes, and June, yes, let's go on tour. Yes.
Sent you everything you were supposed to say. Yes. Come on.
Yes.
Man, Michele. Yes. You gotta get faster.
We'll call it the basketball players and the managers tour.
There it is. There it is. You gotta get faster with your little fingers when you're texting. It's gonna make a little bit faster.
Look, I can do this.
Thank you guys for having me on this. This was so fun. What a delightful group of ladies you are.
Oh man, it's been awesome. Now I see Michele scrolling. So at Byron Trimble on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. That's where you can find Byron Trimble. It has been such an absolute pleasure to have you on our podcast today. Man, I just you're a blessing. It's been pretty awesome. So Michele, you want to pop him backstage? We'll close out. And
first, though, before I do that, I want to see if Byron has anything that he wants to promote. Anything happening? Anything coming up?
Yeah. Well, we got my social media stuff, and then I'm going on tour, and I'm still booking dates. And so, if you are interested, a lot of churches, especially, they're just starting to get the courage. If we can keep this Delta variant away, we can go on tour again this fall. So it's called the
Southwest.
Yeah. It's called the No Brainer Tour. That's a whole nother podcast. Is my brain surgery I had this last year, and so in the fall. So if you are in your church or interested in having some fun this fall, as things open back up a little bit, go to my website and let's make it happen.
All right, thank you so much, Byron, and we're going to close this out. Go ahead, June. What'd you think of that? Right, Isn't he amazing?
Well, he said the no brainer tour. So I feel like that is a tour. I wonder if he'll let me open for him. I'm going to shoot a few emails and send a video or two and see. A no brainer. Yeah, no brainer. That sounds like a tour that you and I could definitely contribute to. Don't you think, Michele?
He had brain surgery.
Yes.
So I think the surgeon already opened for him. What? No.
Oh, okay. That's horrible. And that's the way we're going to end this one, is the surgeon already open for him. Oh, geez. You were doing so good, Michele. So good. So good. All right. Well, that was Byron Trimble on Laugh Support today. Thank you guys for listening. Make sure that you check us out pretty much anywhere that you can get a podcast. Also, if you want to see our pretty faces, you can check us out on YouTube. But we're on Captivate, and we made it to Apple. We made it to Apple. We did it. We did it. We finally got it right. So yeah. So that's it for this episode of Laugh Support. I'm June Colson here with the amazing. This is your turn to say your.
Oh, I'm Michele VanDusen.
There you go.
And, little Michele and the Messiah tell you to read your Bible.
Michele, you almost did it. You almost did it. Jesus and Junebug loves you. Bye, y'all.